Very good morning. The case of rape accused Pastor Timothy Omotoso and his two co-accused will continue the Gqeberha High Court this morning. And this morning we're expecting to hear the defense take the stand and bring in a new application. Now, this new application speaks to the defense asking Judge Irma Schoeman to drop all charges against Omotoso for what they say has been an unfair, unconstitutional trial, primarily because of the interference of Nceba Ntelwa allegedly suborning the witnesses to commit perjury. Now, this dates back to 2017 regarding a witness called Malusha Gianni that originally in 2017 when she gave her testimony against Omotoso, she said then to Colonel Brenda that Omotoso had allegedly inserted his finger into a private part. She said the same testimony to Dr. Miller, who was a psychologist at that time regarding the case, and also gave the same testimony to Advocate Sadfontein, who was a prosecutor at that time. And then during this time, 2 years later, it was heard that Ntelwa actually allegedly told Sadfontein that Gianni must not say that Omotoso had allegedly inserted his fingers into a private part. She then took to the stand, Malusha Gianni, which she gave a testimony and said, in fact, Omotoso had not inserted his finger into a private part, but allegedly brushed the top of a private part with his finger. This is the reason why then the defense is saying the inconsistencies in Gianni's statements is proof that the interference of Nceba Ntelwa did suborn her to commit perjury, and that if he was able to convince Gianni to change his statement originally from an inserting of a finger to just a brushing, it is also proof that indeed Nceba Ntelwa did suborn certain witnesses to commit perjury. And if he was able to commit Gianni to do that, then perhaps also they allege that he also did suborn other witnesses to commit perjury within the court. So the defense is saying that if the witnesses' statements are not an accurate depiction of what actually happened, but moreover, rather an influence by Nceba Ntelwa to commit perjury, then it's not a fair trial to his client Omotoso and his two co-accused, and therefore the trial is unfair and unjust. The defense is also saying that the inconsistencies in terms of Nceba Ntelwa's interference with the witnesses and also his questionable conduct as an advocate is proof that this case has been unfair. But we have also heard that the state is going to oppose this application, saying that Section 174 was an application made by the defense last year, and already last year this application 174, which speaks to charges against the accused being dropped, was dismissed by Judge Irma Schoeman. Secondly, that this case cannot be ruled unfair and unjust or unconstitutional because yes, there are questionable ethics of Nceba Ntelwa in this case, but he has recused himself, but not at all has a judge been able to really prove that Nceba Ntelwa did indeed try to convince or suborn the witnesses to commit perjury. And then also lastly, that you remember that the state has finished its case and is now waiting on the defense to bring its own witnesses and start its case as well. So the state is saying it's unfair now for the defense to say, let's drop all the charges, let's call this case unconstitutional and unfair on behalf of the defense. But in the same breath, the defense has not as yet brought its own case before the court. So the state is saying it's going to oppose this new application, saying that the Section 174, the dropping of all charges, was dismissed already last year. And then secondly, the defense has just been doing delaying tactics, but in essence must bring its own case before the court because it must really prove, like it continuously has been saying throughout the years, that Nceba Ntelwa did suborn witnesses to commit perjury. Some of the state says the defense has not been able to prove. So we'll hear all that in court this morning at the Gqeberha High Court. For now, let's go back to you in the studio.